thank you for joining us for Community Quotes. If I can have you say and spell your first and last name for us.
My name is Sherryl Guillory. Sherryl is spelled S-H-E-R-R-Y-L. Guillory is G-U-I-L-L-O-R-Y.
Okay, Sherryl, tell me where you grew up.
I grew up in this very small town in Evangeline Parish that's called Reddell, R-E-D-D-E-L-L. And the population was about 300. I went to school, I graduated. You know how the populations are real big around here for graduations? Well, I graduated in a class of 35.
Oh, wow.
I lived primarily like farm life. I was a little farm girl.
Do you have any siblings?
I have two sisters, one older and younger, so I was in the middle, so I got it all.
Gotcha.
I was a sandwich. I was a filling in the sandwich, you could say. I lived around animals all my life, and
You said you were on a farm, so you had farm animals.
we had cows, horses, pigs, turkeys, ducks, chickens. You know, everything, cats and dogs.
And you learned to tend to them and
Yeah, ride horses, tend to all the cattle, and feed the chickens, feed the ducks,
Right.
you know, gathered eggs. Real homey kind of farm life.
So tell me about that. After school, what did you do?
After school, okay, I was, I'm by nature, I'm very shy. Can't really
I can't imagine that.
yeah, you can't really imagine it, but by nature I was very shy. So after school, I was usually like, come home from school, do my homework. I primarily lived with my grandparents, not my mother and father. And our chores were to do our homework first, get that done, and then take care of whatever we needed to take care of pertaining to like the farm life, the animals and whatever. And that's consisted of my whole day practically, going to school and then taking care of whatever animals I was supposed to take care of.
Okay. Whenever you were a child, what did you want to be when you grew up?
All my life I had wanted to be an actor.
Oh.
I'd love show business. I think it's because I'm the creative one in the family, because I paint and I draw and do all this stuff. And my aunt sort of like veered me away from it because she afraid that I wouldn't make it. And I think she was right, but my attention grew more towards going into mass communications. So that's what, whenever I had a chance to go back to school and get my degree, I got my degree in mass communications.
From what college?
From UL.
Yeah.
And I also had a minor in visual arts. So I was pretty well equipped. And but I worked several years in television, also did radio, and also did magazines and newspapers too. I worked as a reporter at newspapers. So I'm like, I hit just about everything to do with mass communications in the field.
Did you always have a job relating to the
Yes,
field?
always did. You know how they
Okay.
ask you to move every so
Yeah.
often? Well, that's what I was doing. I was moving from every newspaper.
What was your first job?
My first job, I used to work at Channel 15.
Okay.
Right after high school, I graduated after high school, like not more than a week after, I started working at Channel 15. I used to do all their, taping stuff from all the satellites, programming for all their satellites so they could air it on, in master control. You put it in master control to air on television. I did that. I did studio cameras. That's when Deborah Terrorbill was the anchor. Studio cameras. I did editing. I did sound, and I did the satellite stuff too.
Well, in your first job, how long were you there?
Oh, I was there only a few months.
A few months.
Well,
yeah.
no, let's say about, a few months. I can't remember exactly.
Yeah. Well, one question that I ask people about their first job, it's kind of a funny question, but have you ever made a mistake? And if so, what was it?
Always made a mistake.
You learn from them, right?
Yeah, you do. Back in the day, that's whenever we had but the big VCRs, and you had to download off the satellite. Well, Channel 15, we carried the UL basketball games,
Okay.
and we had the coach. I can't remember who it was exactly. Anyway, they were doing an interview, and it was beautiful. It was a very smooth interview. And I forgot to turn on the record button.
Sure.
so they had to redo the.
That happened earlier today with the interview.
Not only me, thank God. But that's what was happening. Embarrassing. You know, I had to call them up and say, please, can you have them do it? So I've got to turn on the record button.
It happens. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a lesson learned, right?
Yeah, it was
Yeah.
fun, but yay, I forgot to turn on the record button.
Right. Happens to the best.
Yeah.
So what did you do after that? After News 50?
After that, I wound up going to school. Matter of fact, I went to my first experience with college was Nicholls State in Thibodaux, and I went to school for mass communications, and I wound up dropping out for a while, and then after that I went like for 5 years to get back into college, and they wouldn't let me in, but I still fought for 5 years and I got in. And I got in at UL. Well, actually it's LSUE. They had, yeah. So I went to LSUE for a couple of years, and then I transferred to UL, all majoring in mass communications with a minor in visual arts.
Right. So are you working right now?
Oh yes, I am.
Okay. So tell me about that.
I am working as an administrative assistant for what's called Preferred Reports, and they are primarily a insurance consulting firm. It's like a third-party thing, and what I handle is like the result of our consultants going in who survey the properties, and I just edit letters and send out to whomever the letter is supposed to, agents, insurers, underwriters, or whomever. But I spend my entire day editing letters, which came in handy because I used to be an editor a long time ago for LSU's newspaper, and I kind of like translated my skills onto that.
Yeah. Writing's a good part
Yeah,
of that.
I have a big background in writing with my reporting and everything else.
And so you live here now in Lafayette?
Yes, I've been living in Lafayette going on 10 years now. So little farm girl came to this big city.
Do you have any animals that live with you?
I have a 10-year-old cat that whenever I was living back home, I had just got him before I moved over here, and now he's 10 years old and big and spoiled and thinks he owns the place.
Do you miss being out on a farm?
Actually, no. I always wanted to be in the city. Whenever I had a chance to come to school to UL, well, I fell in love with Lafayette, and so I decided once I got my degree, I was gonna
What
go
is it
move
about
to Lafayette.
that you fell in love with?
Everything, from the people to the atmosphere in Lafayette, just everything, and you have so much opportunities as opposed to the little town I grew up in. Even Evangeline Parish doesn't have very many opportunities. So, other than working for the hospital or you work for Walmart, that's the only two opportunities you have. There's small mom and pop businesses back there, but nothing that could really sustain you. In Lafayette, I mean, Lafayette's just blossoming all over with businesses all the time.
Switching gears a little bit, you volunteer with AOC for our film crew for Festival International, so thank you for helping us capture some great footage.
Thank you.
Was this your first year volunteering
Yes,
with
it
us?
was. Yes,
and
it
what
was.
was that experience like, if you had to
Oh,
sum
I
it
had
up?
so much fun. It brought me back to my days doing camera work for Channel 10 and Channel 15, and I loved it. It, like I said, it was like, oh shoot, kind of like being back in the saddle again. I already knew everything there was to know about it. You just show me just the little bitty things, but the people, the atmosphere, the place. I've never. That was also my first year of festival too.
Of going to festival.
Yeah. So to me, it was fun. It like
was fun.
Yeah.
What was your favorite performance that you saw?
Oh, I don't even remember. I volunteered for 2 days. I believe was it Friday and Saturday?
I think so.
Yeah, Friday and Saturday. My favorite one was Friday nights because the performers were more lively.
They were.
And they had more people on stage.
And the crowd was more lively.
Yes, yeah.
You're also a member of AOC. I think you joined sometime last year. Tell me why you wanted to join AOC.
Well, I always loved television. I always wanted to be in television. And it's where my roots are. And I'm a creative person, and I express my creativity through working with cameras and working with people who work with cameras or television. And I just love the whole aspect of it, that any individual from any background can come and join this community of AOC and put on a show and learn about television. Because to me, a lot of people, they think they may know about television, but they don't really know about television. They know about, you know, what you see in front of you, but they don't know what goes on behind the scenes. And I find that a lot of kids who they pluck off the street, they have this grandiose kind of thinking about that, you know, what they see is this thing on television that's what they tune into every week, but actually there's other things going on, other people behind the scenes creating this show and putting it on and editing and writing. It's a global aspect to the show you're looking at.
Right. Well, speaking of television shows, what is your favorite show to watch?
Oh, my favorite.
If you, you can't just narrow it down to one.
Okay, I'm a PBS girl.
Okay. Okay.
Okay, PBS is, I love British television. Let's see. Gee, to pick my favorite British television. Well, right now it's Poldark. Poldark, they're rerunning last season's Poldark, and they're about to start running another season a couple of months from now. And I just love it. It's a remake of a remake of a remake.
Yeah.
And they have different actors, and they sort of like put it towards, I think it started in 2015, I believe. It started re-airing the new series, and I love Poldark.
Gotcha. What about some of your other favorite shows or favorite movies?
Let's see. Other favorite shows. Well, I love also, like I said, with PBS, and I love, they have this thing, it's a competition show, and it's called the British Baking Show, the Great British Baking Show on PBS. And it's fun. It's fun. You get to see, like, you know how they say, like, people, their culture is around their food? Well, you get to learn about the English kind of pastries and food is something we don't have around here. How to cook them, how to bake them, how to, you know, mix them, you know, even how they're supposed to decorate them to look like they were supposed to look like.
Right.
And it's just fun.
You said that as a child you had wanted to be an actress. Who were some of your favorite actresses as a child, or someone that inspired you to want to pursue that?
Well, a long time ago, like I said, primarily we lived with my grandparents, and my aunt was in to visit. She used to work in at Nickel State in Thibodeau, and one day she made us sit down, all us 3 girls, sit down and watch Gone with the Wind. That's whenever I fell in love with it. I just loved everything about it. The whole thing about wanting, that's what really turned me on about being an actress, because I loved it all. I guess way back in the day I figured out that there was more to television than what I was seeing. And I just wanted to be an actress. I wanted to express myself in that kind of way.
Have you ever been in any films or commercials, or
other than doing reporting for television or working on my degree? No, but
So
I
you
have
never
been
pursued
interviewed.
it? You never pursued it?
I had wanted to, but I was going through difficulties before, and it just wasn't clicking.
Gotcha. What is your favorite decade and why?
Oh, favorite decade.
It could be music related.
Yeah, that's where my mind went. Favorite decade. Oh, goodness, favorite decade. I would say the 80s, and that is because of my son, and also because that was also whenever I had a chance to go back to college.
Okay.
And so, yeah, besides, the music, like the music was better in the 80s than it is now.
I think so too. Yeah. Like, who are some of your favorite bands?
Okay, whenever I was little, it was Donny Osmond and the Osmonds. As I grew up, I started liking like Journey and Rush and I wish I could remember. I still have their CDs. Journey and Rush and I don't remember.
That's okay. It's a long time ago.
Yeah. Oh God.
2018.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Speaking of that, we're halfway through the year. What goals do you have for the rest of the year? What do you plan to accomplish?
Well, I'm also an artist. I have a show coming up in next month, matter of fact, at City Days Arts. And it's from my show I had in April at Guillory or downtown. So that's one of my goals. Also, I've been commissioned to paint artworks for some of my customers. I do pet portraits. I can do whatever you want.
Yeah, I see that on Facebook.
Yeah, and where I work, I tell my bosses this all the time. I said, I don't want to be like manager. I said, I want to be like the department director. I want to run the thing. I want them to section me off to where I'm running the whole thing. I have people under me.
Oh wow.
Yeah, so that's one of my top goals. I love where I work. It's been like one of the best places I've ever worked before, and the people are so nice, and I'm so happy there.
Well, we all have to work to pay bills, but let's say you won the lottery. What would you do with the money?
With the lottery money? Good thing. Okay, besides paying bills, I'd help my son out. He just bought a house and he likes to remodel it. Well, I like to help them out first, and maybe help my two sisters also. My mother and my father are no longer with us, so I'd help them out. I'd give to my church, even though I'm not supposed to be playing the lottery. And the rest, I'd give to charity. But I was a single mother, so I helped the single mothers that way. But I helped them in a way to where they could help themselves, like provide like scholarships for education and stuff like that, even scholarships for their children.
That's a good goal.
Yeah.
If you could travel anywhere in the world, where would you go?
Oh, goodness. Everywhere. From France to England, Australia, Ireland, everywhere.
Everywhere.
I'll just go ahead and
hop
hop the continents, yeah. Just let me go, just turn me loose.
Well, we talked a little earlier about you volunteering for AOC. Are there any other nonprofits that you do work with or aspire to do any charity work with any other groups?
I help my church out.
What church do you go to?
First Baptist Church, just right around the corner right here. Last year, I had an opportunity to work for Como High's robotics team. I helped them. Wrote, produced, edited, and did the graphics for their presentation video, and they won. And let me see, what else did I do? Jeez, I volunteer time and let me think. Like for other artists too, I help other artists. If they need help with anything. I think that's. That's what I could think of.
That's good. Now, this question always throws people for a loop, but I want you to think about it. If you could have dinner with 5 people, living or deceased, who would it be and why?
5 people?
Yeah, 4 or 5.
Yeah,
Doesn't
okay.
really matter.
My first one would be Jesus Christ.
Okay.
Because I have a million questions to ask him, and I want to sit down and...
What would be your first question?
Actually, it won't be a question. It'd be more like an affirmation. I want to say thank you. Thank you for dying on the cross and forgive me of my sins. Also, I'd ask him, why? I understand that he is the Savior, but why? I mean, why would he give his life for mine in exchange for mine? Second one would be, let me think, my mother. My mother had a tough life. Mm-hmm. So and tough life, I mean by everyone she came in contact with, people on my father's side to people on her side. Mm-hmm. So I want to just be able to talk to her and comfort her. Mm-hmm. Let me think of another one. Oh, jeez.
And it could be a celebrity or a non-famous person.
Leonardo da Vinci. Oh. Just to pick his brain. Inventor, artist, just to, let me see, how did you write backwards? I'd love to just study him and watch him. I'm kind of like, I call myself besides being an artist, mm-hmm. call myself an art curious kind of person. Mm-hmm. So I like to try all kind of mediums and speak to people about their artwork, because they try different mediums too. And Leonardo da Vinci would be right up there. Next to Monet. Next to who else? Oh, I have another one. I can't remember off the bat right now. Cézanne. Mm-hmm. Paul Cézanne. Oh, God. And let me see. Let me think of another person who would. I would like to speak to George Washington, just because, one of our founding fathers.
Would you invite the current president?
Yes. Okay. I'll pick his brain too. And who else could I? I like to speak to my grandmother on my dad's side. None of my grandparents are alive still. So I like to speak to her. And she was a little Irish grandmother with the red hair, Mm-hmm. And I like to speak with her. Maybe even my grandmother on my mother's side too, because she was German with the red hair. So, to me, that just perfect. Oh, about plenty of food.
Mm-hmm. Yes. I know you like to paint. I've seen some of your artwork. It's beautiful on Facebook. Do you have any other hobbies?
Oh, geez. Besides television and painting, cross stitch. I just learned how to crochet. Mm-hmm. I know how to sew. Let's see. Any other hobbies? Nope. Okay. That's about it.
What about reading? Do you like to read? Are you reading anything right now?
I really don't have time to read.
Yeah.
I work more than I should at work.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm really, whenever I get home from work, I don't feel like reading because I'm tired, because I'm reading all day long from editing.
Sure.
So, no.
Understandable.
Yeah.
Sherryl, where do you see yourself in 10 years from now?
10 years from now, I'm 56, I'll be 66, 10 years from now. Married, possibly, maybe a grandmother if I'm lucky, because my son is married. Mm-hmm. Hopefully still living in Lafayette, enjoying my life, still being connected with AOC and doing my art. Hopefully have my own art studio. Mm-hmm. That's my goal. And maybe even being the director of communications and preferred reports, if possible.
Oh, I'm like, you want to take my job?
But yeah, that's pretty much, if I were to put it on the top 10, that'd be at least the top 5.
Gotcha. How do you want to be remembered?
That's somebody who actually cared. Somebody who lived her life to help others. That's my big thing. I love to help others. I tell people at work all the time I love to help others, and that's basically what I'm doing, is helping others. Mm-hmm. Although I have my artwork to be immortalized by, I want to be the person who says, she has a good heart, she helps someone out.
Mm-hmm. You mentioned about being involved with art and being an artist yourself, and with a lot of funding being cut from schools, mm-hmm. How do you feel about art still being a viable part of the education in our school system now?
I think it should still be there, regardless of how much money it's being cut from the system. It still should be there. Mm-hmm. I went to a school that did not teach art. I was into art. I was drawing Snoopies at 8 years old. And if it wasn't for one of my aunts coming home with a sketch pad, some drawing pencils, and an eraser and a sharpener, and some oil pastels, I wouldn't have grown to love art like I do. Fortunately for me, I wasn't able to learn the fundamentals of art until I got to LSUE. But whenever I was there, one of the teachers there, her name was Joanne Quillman, she stayed on me. I guess she knew I had talent, so she stayed on me and made sure that I learned the fundamentals. I learned what was art all about. I learned about mixing colors, about drawing. I learned everything you can imagine, and I'm thankful for it because she stayed on me and she taught me everything I needed to know. And whatever else evolved from being an artist, with the changes of like the paints or the mediums, or because I learned primarily how to paint with oils, and I had to teach myself how to learn how to paint with acrylics. So whatever evolved from it made me a better artist. And yeah, never take it. I tell people all the time, because people come to me asking me if I could teach their kids how to draw and paint. And I say, yes. I am more than happy. I said, whenever you get done with me, get done with the child, he or she's going to learn how to paint, how to draw, how to mix colors. Every fundamental about the art, just give them the fundamentals about the art, and the appreciation for art, and their ability, because anybody has the ability to draw or paint. You just have to just give them the fundamentals and show them how to do it. And yeah, I'm all for art remaining in school. I'm sorry to hear, some of the funding has been cut, but I believe in like the fundamentals of art. That's how you gain your experience and your education, is learning how to create art the old masters way. I learned how to do art from old masters, and you have that education, you have that knowledge, and art sort of like helps you to expand into learning more. You become more creative. You learn more with with other studies too. And I find like art creates a real relaxed atmosphere too.
Sure.
And it's fun to create. It's fun to get messy.
Yes, it is.
I used to do murals for my son's school whenever he was real tiny, and for his elementary school. And I'd do them in pastel on paper, and I stick them on the wall for him. And I'd come back home, covered with pastel head to toe. And I loved every moment of it, because I used to do like Christmas scenes and stuff like that. I loved every moment of it. And now I find out with acrylics, it's like I'm getting messy all over with acrylics, and I love every moment.
Well, you mentioned the teacher that was very influential in your artistic life. Are there any other people in your life that have been influential?
Well, for my communications, there was this one guy. His name was D. Stanley at Channel 10. I used to intern over there while I was in college. And he was the one that recognized that I had talent, because he used to tell me all the time, you have it in you, you have it in you. I said, okay. Coming from him, that was a real compliment. And I want to thank him for it, because I grew to not only know television, but love television too.
Last question. If you could describe yourself in 3 words, what would they be?
That's good. 3 words. Okay. I'm a Christian first, a mom second, an artist third.
All right, Sherryl. Thank you so much for coming in.
Thank you.